Hey, good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Maha. Today I'm just going to share a little bit on sustainable agriculture through intercropping. So these are the contents of my knowledge sharing session. So we'll just make a start. Okay, so intercropping is actually an ancient practice that has been used for a very long time. So in some countries, they are still using intercropping. However, as we move forward nowadays, it's actually more towards monoculture because it's easier to manage the crop, and also because it's a focused production. So they tend to plant only one species of crop in a piece of land. Okay, so definition of intercropping is actually a farming practice where two or more crops are grown simultaneously in close proximity. So the goal of intercropping is actually to maximize the use of available resources and enhance crop productivity. So there are three main interactions when it comes to intercropping. So the first one is mutual inhibition. So that means both the crops inhibit each other's growth. So the actual yield of both of the species is less compared to when they are planted as a monocrop. Okay, the second one is complementary interaction, where the yield of each of the species is greater than expected or greater when compared to when they are planted as a monocrop. And the third one is compensation, where one crop does better than the other. So this is the most common situation where the relationship of the crops that we choose for intercropping is usually compensation. So one species will do better, whereas the other species, the yield is compensated. Okay. So the yield advantage in a multiple cropping system occurs when the use of growth resources are used in combination, where both of the crops complement each other. So both of the crops can do better compared to when they are planted in a monocrop situation. Okay, so there are four types of intercropping system. So the first one is row intercropping, where each of the crops are planted in rows. So one row for each of the crop, and there is no difference in time of planting. So both of the crops are planted at the same time. The second one is strip intercropping. They are similar to row intercropping, but there is a gap between the rows or the strips which the crops are planted. This is to allow for mechanization and things like that, so that both of the crops can be managed separately. The third one is a mixed intercropping. Okay, as you can see in the picture, there is no rows or such a thing. Okay, there is no particular design to how we plant the crops. So they are just planted at the same time. Okay, so this is used when there is no separate harvest is necessary. That means they are harvested at one go at the same time. And the fourth one is relay intercropping. Okay, in relay intercropping, we plant the first crop first, and then there is a gap before we plant the second crop. Okay, so there is a difference in time of planting between the intercropped plants. Okay, so next we move to the benefits of intercropping. So intercropping, as we know, it can actually promote climate resilience because we use and we utilize whatever resources that we have efficiently in terms of space, nutrients, and also water. Apart from that, intercropping, as you know, there is also a contribution to natural suppression of insect pests, pathogens, as well as weeds. So together with all these benefits that we can get out of intercropping, usually there is a higher yield contribution to the crops that are intercropped. However, when we grow together a different variety of crops in the same place, there is difference of management. There is difference in terms of how the crops are managed. So these are all complexity when you choose to intercrop in your farm. Okay, so first of all is space efficiency. So if you're planting for, say, for an example, if you're planting maize, you're just planting maize throughout your farm. So the space is not actually utilized because the rows in between the maize is not utilized. So sometimes what they will do is they will plant legumes in between each of the row of the maize just to make sure that you are utilizing completely the land and the resources in the farm. Okay, so there are two types that we usually think of when we are utilizing the space efficiency. First of all is the canopy of the plant. So usually taller plants are combined with shorter plants. And another one is in terms of the root. So plant with different root structures are used so that they explore different soil layers to extract the nutrients and water. Laju ke? Semua orang senyap je. Okay, the next one is nutrient and water use efficiency. Okay, usually in an intercropping system, we usually use legumes because it has the nitrogen fixing capabilities. So when we intercrop the plants with nitrogen fixing plants, the fertilizer that we need to apply for the main crop is usually reduced. So indirectly, it actually reduces the cost for us to need the need for us to purchase fertilizers, because as we know, currently the fertilizer prices are quite high. Okay. So leaving mulch intercrops can increase the nutrient use efficiency by enabling complementary plants to efficiently share micro and macronutrients via the mycorrhizal networks, and lowering the frequency of key nutrient deficiencies. So apart from this, intercrop, it also actually improves the retention of fertilizer because because there's no space in between your rows of crops. The ground is fully covered, and it is actually the ground is actually held by all the roots of the plants. So indirectly, it actually reduces soil erosion, and then also reduces fertilizer runoff. So when it rains, actually the impact of the rain is not directly on your soil because it touches the canopy of the plant. Okay, so it helps to keep the soils in place. So intercrop plants also shade the soil surface with a larger plant canopy and conserve the water by reducing the soil evaporation rates. Other than that, the complementary root architecture enables them to reduce competition for water resources. So in terms of crop stability and resilience, as we know, intercrop, we usually use different species of plants planted together. So in case there is a disease or there is drought or something like that, usually only one species of plant gets damaged by a certain disease. So the other plant or the other crop can actually compensate for the yield for the farmer. So you don't completely lose your harvest for that season. So it is compensated by the intercrop plant. Okay. In intercropping system, the intercrop plants actually is also helps to interfere with the pest colonization. Okay, as you can see in this picture, okay, there is a push and pull mechanism when you use intercropping plants. When you are intercropping, sorry. You usually what the farmers will do is they plant two types of plant. Okay, one is the attractive plant to pull the pests towards them. Okay, and another one is repellent plant where it has some chemical, it releases some chemical compound that is not so favorable in terms of smell or something like that, that the pest doesn't like. So most of the time, in an intercropping system, if there is a pest occurrence, most of the time the pest will land in a crop that is not favorable to it. That means if it likes to eat maize or corn, for an example, when it's flying, it just lands, it lands on a different crop because you are intercropping. So most of the time, it cannot develop its colony there. Okay, the next one is also pathogen suppression. So as you can see in the picture, when we have intercropping, when we do intercropping, okay, so one disease does not actually spread to the other species of plants. So when you intercrop using different species of crops, so you actually break the soil, pest and pathogen by a physical barrier, because there's in between there is a different crop that the pest or pathogen does not like. So indirectly, it actually breaks the disease cycle. Okay, certain plants that are used in intercropping, it also releases certain toxic or deterrent chemicals that is not favorable to the pathogen or the pest. Apart from that, when we intercrop, we actually increase all the organisms in the soil. So when there are more beneficial microorganisms in the soil, it can help to reduce the pathogen occurrence or soil-borne disease in the soil. Okay, those were the benefits. Now we look into the barriers to intercrop adaptation. So why usually farmers think a lot when they want to intercrop is, the first of all is uncertainty in profitability, because when we put two crops together, we are not sure how the relationship or how each crop will bertindak balas react to each other. So sometimes when you put two plants together, one plant will inhibit the growth of the other plant, or sometimes both of them grow very well, or sometimes in certain cases both of the plants don't produce much yield as how they are supposed to. So there is an uncertainty in profitability when you choose to intercrop in your farm. The second one is increased labor requirements. Increased labor requirements is because we are dealing with different species of plants. So when we are dealing with different species of plants, in terms of management of the crop, when we are going to apply fertilizers, when we are going to spray them, when we are going to harvest them, is all different according to the crop. Some may be fruiting above ground, some may be producing nuts, or the nitrogen fixing ones are usually you have legumes beneath the ground. So it requires different management system. So therefore, when you have different complexity of management towards the crop, of course, indirectly it increases your labor requirements. So the increased management complexity I've already explained together as well. And in some cases, certain plants can be a risk of pest reservoir. Attracted when we use a plant to attract certain plants, certain insects, sometimes the plant become the host to the insects and it becomes a pest reservoir. And also there is a risk of crop competition, which leads to yield loss when you intercrop. Now we look at the compromised yield through competition. Okay, when we intercrop, the yield is completely dependent on the competition between the crops that we choose to intercrop. So there is a great variation in terms of competition between the crops. So we really need to understand which crops we want to pair, so that both of the crops are able to utilize whatever resources efficiently and also grow to their fullest potential and increase yield. So one example here is maize and leek intercrops. So although maize and leek, when we plant them together in an intercropping system, it actually reduces thrips that actually feed on leeks. But ultimately, it causes a yield loss for the leeks because they are poor competitors for light relative to rapidly growing maize. That means when the maize grow very fast, there's a lot of shading, so the leeks cannot actually produce maximum yield as how they are able to when they are planted in a monocrop system. So managing an intercrop system. So adding intercrops to monoculture system actually complicates in terms of the planting of the crops, the management of crops, and also harvest, which directly adds to the labor costs. And usually when we intercrop, it's very difficult for us to use mechanization. So what is usually suggested is to do intercropping system where the farming system doesn't use much mechanization. But however, although the farm is not using mechanization, there is still an increase in labor because we still need to harvest the crops separately, and in terms of weed management and things like that, it's going to be different. So plant cultivation measures that affect plant-to-plant interaction. So when we choose a plant for intercropping, we have to make sure that the optimal crop density is taken into consideration. So the amount of space that the crop needs for optimal growth needs to be provided, and also the design that suits the crop best. So in general, adequate space must be provided for each of the crop to make sure the beneficial effect is provided, and also the competition between the crops is reduced. The second one is maturity dates of the crops. So the dates when the flowering happens or when the crops are ready for harvest, we have to take into consideration because each of the crop, they have different nutrient requirements at each of these growth stages. So we don't want the plants to compete with each other when they are going through the same phase. And architecture or vigor of the crop. So the height or width of the crop, whether the plant is deep rooting or shallow rooting. So we have to think of that as well. So preferably we will pair the crops that are shallow rooting with deep rooting plants, and then the taller plants with a shorter plant. Okay, this is a case study of onion and tomato in Pakistan. So in this study, the onion and tomato were planted in a row crop, intercrop, and the results of the study actually showed that the intercropping had significantly higher yield compared to monocrop of the onions and tomatoes. So it also had a higher benefit cost ratio. That means in terms of cost, it was lower compared to sole cropping or monocropping of both of the crops. And land equivalent ratio, that means the usage of the land or the yield harvested from 1 hectare of land is actually higher, which is 1.31. So it shows that the intercropping is actually more efficient in terms of land use than sole cropping. So when the farmers actually planted the onion and the tomato together, so it actually provided additional income to the farmers, and they did not just depend on a certain crop at one point of time. However, the farmers encountered challenges such as high seed costs, diseases, and low output prices, and also high transportation costs. The second case study is intercropping in a rubber plantation system. So this study, they actually used 4 crops: yam bean, common bean, soybean, peanut and coffee. Sorry, 5 crops. So when they tried to intercrop with these different crops, as you can see, peanut exhibited the lowest comparative yield potential, and yam bean produced the highest yield in comparison to its yield in monoculture. But however, in terms of coffee, it was actually lower yield compared to monocrop. So when you intercrop, coffee yield was lower, and Arabica coffee was similar to that of monoculture of Robusta coffee. So the higher yield was only produced or got from yam bean and also peanut. So challenges in intercropping. So there is competition for resources in terms of light, nutrients and water. So when they compete with each other for these resources, it can actually lead to reduced growth and yields if they are not managed effectively. Second one, in terms of disease and pest management, intercropping can sometimes create a suitable environment for specific pest and disease. So when we are planting a diverse crop in a cropping system, it becomes more difficult to actually manage the pest and disease occurrence. Harvesting and post-harvest challenges, because we are planting different crop in the same piece of land, there is differences in the way we harvest things and the time of harvest. So it may lead to logistical challenges, and separating and processing different crops after harvest can also be complex. And the final one is the crop compatibility issues. As I mentioned earlier, not all crops are suitable for intercropping with others due to their growth habits or resource requirement, and selecting crops that are not compatible with each other can lead to reduced productivity and also conflicts between the crops. So how do we solve these challenges? Is to have companion planting for pest control. So usually farmers sometimes they plant a trap crop. So instead of attacking the main crop, the pests usually go to the trap crop. Okay, proper crop rotation. When we rotate plants, rotate the system, intercropping system with different types of plants, indirectly you also break the pest that comes to a certain species. So when you rotate the crops that you plant, so the the pest is also different. Efficient water and nutrient management. So we have to make sure we have efficient irrigation system such as drip irrigation to make sure that the crops receive the right amount of water, and also we need to make sure that the crop has enough nutrients so that they don't compete with each other for water, nutrients and also other sources. The other step is to adopt IPM strategies and combine biological, chemical and cultural practices to control pests. So by integrating the pest management system, we can actually minimize the use of harmful chemicals and focus on sustainable pest control. Apart from this, we can also educate and train the farmers about the intercropping system and the compatibility of crops that can be planted together in the farm. So, in terms of environmental impact, intercropping actually reduces soil erosion because the ground is almost fully covered. So when there is a rain and things like that, the roots are held onto the soil, so they prevent soil erosion. Lower chemical input requirements because sometimes we plant with end fixing crops, so there is a lower need for fertilizer application, and sometimes there are crops that actually release some chemical compounds that deter pests. So with that, we can actually use lower chemical we use chemical lesser for pests. Contribution to climate change mitigation. So intercropping enhances carbon sequestration in the soil and reduces greenhouse gas emissions and preserve the biodiversity. Because we create a diverse ecosystem that supports a variety of organisms, so intercropping actually helps to diversify our farm biodiversity. So in terms of economic and social benefits, for the farmers, by intercropping, you actually do not rely just on one crop. So if you are planting tomato with onion, you have your tomato and you also have your onion. So in at times where the tomato fails, you still have your onions to sell and get something out of it. Improved food security, because we are planting the intercropping, we have a diverse crop in our farm. So therefore, it has a more balanced and nutritious diet, and steady crop production throughout the year reduces the risk of food shortages. In terms of economic sustainability and resilience, intercropping helps to provide some buffer to the farmers. Like I mentioned just now, when one crop fails, the farmers are still able to sell the other crop and gain some profit out of it. Intercropping contributes to both local and global food security because we optimize the resources by not only planting a single crop in our farm, but we also utilize all the resources available and plant with multiple crops. So it actually helps in terms of food production. And sustainable practices help to meet the increasing demand of food. So in conclusion, intercropping is a sustainable farming practice. So it involves growing multiple crops together for mutual benefits. It offers a lot of advantages, including increased yield, better soil health, and also biodiversity conservation. It also supports the economic stability, community resilience, and global food production. And of course, its positive environmental impact contributes to a sustainable future. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That was nice and thorough. I think we can open the floor for questions. I expect everybody to ask at least one. Whoever is not asking, no.
Any comment? Any comment? Intercropping used in Malaysia. Like, what is the most common?
Usually,
Yeah, because the example that you gave here, if this one is from Pakistan, that's temperate, and this is
Maize and wheat can be temperate.
Hainan Island.
China.
Yeah.
Yang Malaysia punya macam tak ada sangat dia punya dia punya publication macam kurang.
I think they do.
Mardi dia tak publish kan. Dia macam susah untuk kita dapat. Dia memang banyak research tapi susah untuk kita dapat dia punya outcome ke whatsoever ke. Susah kita nak dapat. That's one thing I notice lah. Macam memang ada banyak dia punya info tapi kita as a outside from Mardi susah nak gauge that information.
They got the data, no time to run out.
How about coffee? Coffee is not really intercropping there. With what? Kelapa.
Coffee.
Yes. Coffee, coconut, banana, coconut. Yeah.
Kalau maize dia dengan legumes.
It doesn't work well with oil palm. Because oil palm
dia punya nutrient
tinggi. Coconut dia lebih cerah.
Mm-mm.
You got more blue light portion of sunlight coming compared to the oil palm.
Dan ada juga baca one research yang dia buat dalam oil palm, tapi at the end the oil palm punya yield tu turun. Bila dia intercrop.
Okay, kamu dia. But aku benda. No, if you want to ask me, you'll be asking.
Saya tak tanya.
Can you give me an example about mixed intercropping?
Mixed intercropping. Mixed intercropping ni sebenarnya dia very random crops, just thrown in together macam sayur and then sayur berbuah, and then they have a permanent fruit trees ke, dia tak ada a distinguished row, they just mix everything together.
It's like your neighbor at Ladakh, they do wheat intercropping. They got ginger, lalang.
Dia tak ada distinguished punya pattern, they just mix everything together macam tu. Macam landscaping, dia campur je semua tanaman dia macam tu.
Is there specific requirements kalau nak buat mixed cropping ni, macam kita kena consider all the
Actually bila kita choose untuk buat intercropping, we have to consider that lah. Tapi that is what happens when they do it without the knowledge kan. So dia ada dia punya inhibition punya factor tu yang menyebabkan yield dia tak perform as how it is supposed to perform. So sebelum buat tu memang kena study crop tu punya requirement, adakah dia ada certain chemical yang buat the other crop tu macam kurang yield ke.
I'll tell you where mixed intercropping commonly practiced. Tapi kau tak mention, in developed countries, they do these flower beds. So, in fact, kalau macam remember farmland, you go to farmland, you buy seeds mix. So dalam mix tu ada 9 flowers and plants.
Multi-species.
Yeah, multi-species. In fact, last year dekat Madi, masa kita tengok dia buat the vegetable beds tu, they are actually practicing this. So they got millet, they got some kind of purple type vegetables. So multi-species, and they work very well. Yeah. So flower beds, that's actually that's like a secret recipe actually in the concoction of the seeds. Yeah. So usually, we're talking about the temperate countries, they have something like usually flowers, poppies. They have some kind of beans like alfalfa or chickpeas. These work just nice together and looks pretty. Yeah. And of course, your neighbor will hate you for that. They'll come at night. Yeah.
question. Can you give me the example of attractive plant and little plants? And the certain of attractive plant is suitable for the main specific to compare with the main.
Actually, we have to, macam yang attracting plant tu, we have to make sure it attracts the pest that comes to our main crop lah. Contoh macam in oil palm, if you see at the side kan dia ada yang bunga kuning tu, apa nama dia?
Banyak kau ada. kau nak buat apa? Kacang kebus. Tunera.
Tunera. So that one actually attracts the pest yang pergi dekat oil palm. So instead of pergi kat oil palm, dia pergi dekat bunga tu. So dia tak kacau the oil palm.
Ambil marker tulis. Tunera. No, this is actually good because oil palm plant a lot of tunera. In fact, on the way go to the farm, on the side, orang-orang tanam.
Tunera.
We planted too, but it's not happening. Because you know these people, failure is a must. Tunera umifolia. I think this one attract lebah. And the good thing is, these lebah, tebuan and so on, they are actually natural predators. They use this ovipositoid, meaning that they lay eggs in somebody else. Yeah. Yeah, kind of like you are forcing sucker into somebody. And then somebody got no choice but to live with the sucker and then habis. Yeah. Yeah, for the rubber for that. Right. Okay, go on.
I have questions. What effect of talking to the rubber being? The certificate is about improved double rubber. What effect to the rubber?
Or the rubber yield was not compensated in the study, right?
What is it? I mean,
So is it complementary? Sir?
like rubber or what you know any effect on the reporting the rubber being? Is the rubber prices low now, so maybe our farmers can copy the rubber. So is it okay for the yield of the rubber or is it not possible? That's my question. If you don't understand.
Actually, I'm not sure. Of
What
the
about the
answer.
study that you mentioned just now?
But
Slide 18?
in this study, the rubber yield was not affected by intercropping.
But it didn't decrease.
Didn't decrease.
So
It
kind of
remained
like
the same.
complementary, is it?
Yeah.
Complementary. Yeah.
Jadi susu utara.
Yeah, the milkier the better. I think rubber
Rubber
of
macam
on the
tak
problematic soil already. So if you have other crops, I don't think many crops will be happy in the rubber soil. You know rubber soil, reddish, right? What was the name of the soil? Laterite. Tanah laterite, which is iron oxide soil. Try to tanam kangkung in this soil, not happening.
So untuk intercrop pun you have to choose the
Yeah.
you really have to
Because
select.
the major crop already on the problematic soil. Who else you gonna plant there? Yeah, further rubber. Okay, ada lagi. This is the time for you to discuss and get insights, okay? If you keep on learning monotonous lecture, macam aku duk bagi tu, you are drifting far and far away from the galaxy. Come back.
So for the row intercropping and the relay intercropping, right? So they are in terms of the arrangement, they are the same, meaning one.
They are the same, yeah.
Oh. So
Relay ni sebenarnya dia boleh buat in terms of strip intercropping pun boleh, mix pun boleh.
bukan
Cuma the date of planting tu dia berbeza.
So
You
arrangement
plant,
dia boleh do one.
yeah. Arrangement dia boleh suka hati, tapi dia dipanggil relay because one is planted first and then you plant the other one. Dia tak tanam at the same time.
Kalau tanam 2-3 pokok, kita dah pasu.
Ini menatang ni punya eksperimen. Maybe you want to answer that?
So it can be called intercropping.
Yes.
But
However, you don't get this on slide 12. You got this microbe stopping the microbe.
sebab dia dah resource dia dah dipisahkan. So dia tak adalah benefit dia. Light je lah.
Yeah.
Light intersection.
So this is the good thing about learning this thing from different angles and perspective. Even though intercropping has been thousands of years, doesn't mean that you have to follow the way Pharaoh did it. Right. For example, using the pots. You have your main crops. Right. Let's say that you have your orchard fruits, mango and so on. And while waiting for the mango, how many years you have to wait? 3-4 years, right, before you get the first harvest. What are you going to do in the meantime? Keep on praying, hoping the money coming from the sky. So in between here, you can have temporary plants that can easily come, easily go, right? Which is not the traditional way of doing intercropping, but the idea of intercrop, the goal of the intercrop is achieved. You want to increase the sustainability, the diversity. Maybe you attract beneficial insects as well. And the most important thing, you increase the revenue profit per square meter. Yeah, rather than you just rely on one crop. Right. Yeah. Pretty much like you have so many kids, right? why people have so many kids? 5, 10, hoping that
Variety.
hoping that out of 10, maybe 2 will be super millionaires. The rest 8 screw up, and that's fine. Yeah, your sister will cover up for that. Yeah. Okay. Good. Got question?
Satu lah.
Nak tadi tak tanya, Asma ada.
Saya ada satu cerita, dia nak buat intercropping juga, tapi macam dia nak tanam durian dalam kebun dekat. Kebun dah tu lama, so dia nak buang 2 pokok, dia nak gantikan. Tapi pada masa yang sama, pokok getah tu dia tak nak buang lagi. Tapi sekarang ni, dia ada satu masalah, dia kata dia nak bagi baja dekat durian tu. Kan baja durian ada NGO kan. So bila dia bagi tu pokok getah tu dia kurang keluar susu dia. Sebab dia kata sebab NGO tu pekatkan getah betul.
Sebab tu dia kena belajar dulu apa yang compatible.
So the milk is not coming out. Picit lah.
Dia kata beku, getah tu jadi beku. Kalau dia keluar pun dia jadi beku kat atas line dia.
The thing with magnesium is, I know magnesium has antagonistic effect on something. You know the Mulder's chart too? Yeah, when you give one thing in excess, that will have antagonistic effect on certain element. So probably these elements that get suppressed due to the abundance of magnesium are actually the one responsible for the latex production and flowing. No, the latex produced is one thing. The oozing of latex is another mechanism that the plants using, because if the plants heal too fast, forming the scab and everything due to the wounding, you're not going to get your latex. So the plants need to allow for the latex to come out until the farmers is happy. Oh, got a cup already. Yeah. So to answer that question, probably that magnesium in abundance suppressing essential nutrition that the rubber plant require for latex production. Yeah, sometimes it's not only the nutrition, sometimes you are disturbing with the microbes in the soil. Yeah. I remember one thing, MgO, magnesium oxide, has the effect of liming. Yeah, I don't think rubber is too happy with alkaline, more higher pH soil. That's why rubber doing well in the laterite iron oxide soil. If the pH increase, no matter how much you are squeezing, no milk coming. Right. Yeah, that's the gist of it. Okay, tanya apa cepat?
Okay, for this one, we have ideal one only. We intercropping for repellent only and intercropping with attractive plant only.
Boleh. Either one can. But usually dia akan push and pull method ni dia akan combine both. Attract and also repel. But you can choose either one juga. It's not wrong.
So
that means you intercrop with some other species that repels pests on the main crop. Boleh? Or
Example, repelling plants? Bawang. Oh, I know, cactus. Right.
biasa plants yang macam bawang lah, yang herbs yang keluarkan some
We call it,
chemical compound
take down,
and-
cruciferous vegetables. Cruciferous meaning that these plants have the ability to accumulate sulfur in the body, and then they make awful smell out of it. Cruciferous. So cruciferous, not only bawang, you got Brussels sprout, kale, semua benda tu. Broccoli, yes, broccoli, that's true. Broccoli, yeah, cauliflower, and so on. Yeah. Okay, that's good. Thank you. All right. Habis lah masuk exam. Okay, so what time now?
Almost 2
Nak kena bangkit apa yang pula tinggal? Set. I want mine. Oh, my pretty book. What's it? Bukan itu tadi. Ke dalam ni. Dalam ni. Okay, one moment. Mana? Saya tak bawa. I brought tadi. Tu. Oh, tu. Bawah tablet. Dalam ke? Okay, here's the deal. So we have agreed to reduce the amount of lessons that you're going to receive. However, you need to learn it. I'm looking for a word. Wholeheartedly. Yeah, with all my heart and all the organs that are still functioning. So we have completed the lessons for the first part of photosynthesis, namely photosynthesis, the light reaction. Okay, have you done your homework? Are you done? I've given you the homework, right? Yeah. What do you need to do? Find the answer. Show me where. It cannot suddenly coming out from the sky. Angels are not that nice with you. Okay. There is one thing that we need to do, because this is part of the ACL, and also because you do not really have your lab lab report submitted now. So to compensate for that, look at this. Remember, I've given you this. These lists are actually all the terminologies that you have seen since the last 3-4 weeks while you are learning the light reaction of photosynthesis. Mesti kau tak sedar kan? Rajin tak aku cari satu-satu. Yeah, I cannot let things go. That's why. Yeah, so these things are actually a technique in learning. Okay, when you are done with a chapter or a lesson, you need to be able at your individual level to list down all the important terminologies like this. This is okay, I have given to you. Because if you do not know the new words or the new terminologies that you have learned, how are you going to gauge your own understanding? For example, if suddenly I pick up, tell me what is endosymbiosis? Benar? Apa makan? Yeah. So in order to ensure that everybody is on board with this, we need to do another homework. Yeah. Okay. I've got this little book here. We call it the Glossary Make Me Happy book. Have something like I am allowed to do the pasting, okay? Kau tak boleh, kau kena tulis dengan tangan. Okay? Write the name of these terminologies. You don't have to occupy the whole thing. You can split it into two, however you want to do it. And then have the definitions at the back. Woo! Apa ni kan cantik? Yeah. Because this is kind of like flashcard. You know flashcard? Kind of like flashcard. This method has been proven to be very beneficial for your understanding, long-term memory, dan juga for you to show off to people. I know a lot, right? So what you need to do is have all of this, find the definition, or if you are feeling in the mood, maybe you can do some drawings. Accessory pigment. Ta-da! We got this. Write it down. I cannot stress enough why you need to write using your hand. Okay? Yeah, you need to read, you need to write. These are the psychomotor that will come together to solidify, cement your justly acquired memory. Okay? So have of this, and then once you're done for the entire thing, marilah kita buat hafazan. So you can choose whichever you want. The color. Kau tak nak choose? Lantak. Dia tak nak. So you can pick whatever color that you want. You don't have to use this. I mean, like you can take now if you have your other books that you want to use. Please. Sian, semua kata tu tak ada color lain tu dah. Oh, this color tak boleh ya? This is mine. If you're not happy with the color, maybe you can stick the white paper to write on it. Use your creativity. Make it. I do not know. You want to put a hologram, a Hello Kitty 3D? Put it. This is for you to keep. Okay. Tell me, how many subjects have you gone through while learning all this year that you have something tangible that you can carry forward well into the many years ahead? Tak banyak kan? All my class, I keep on doing this. Kau ambil benda tu. Tu, ambil. Tak buat macam mana? Kecilkan font. No, use your creativity. Don't follow me. This ni buku aku. Jangan tiru. Tu. Tambah lagi pak. Tak apa, tak cukup. We got the budget for that. I'll get the glitter one. Then you can tambah. You know macam some people got passport sampai tiga round kan. Tambah. So maybe you can use the entire this for one chapter. Since we are learning about 3 chapters, maybe 3 books coming together. You can use sampai bila-bila, okay? Because some of these are with the illustration. Maybe you don't have to, just a simple word, right? For example, like Stroma lamellai, number 62. So once you have done this, I need you to be able to tell me, bila aku tanya, what is Q cycle? Oh, habislah kau. What better way, to ensure that everybody is revising your lessons. Okay? Right? So I hope to see this the final week before your mid-semester break, which is what is the 20 something, right? 20 something. Yeah. Okay, the deal is maybe you, even though this is not a group work, you can work with your friends to find the definition from the notes or somewhere else. Maybe you want to work in a group of 3 or something. Okay. Some of you find the first 10 definition. Then your friends have found it. Copy. Write it down. You'll be surprised how much you can remember if you do it this way. Very, very surprised. And illustration does helpful. Okay. And tak boleh guna warna ni. Aku punya. Okay. Actually kan aku guna ni, I'll deduct the marks. Okay. Look at the words here. Is there any words that I have not mentioned before? Ada semua dah ke? Ada? Semua ada kan? Adalah, aku ajar ikut urutan. Harapkan kau. Or maybe number 66, the uncoupled. I think there is something in the notes actually. Maybe you can scratch that code, tak payah uncouple tu. Sebab that kind of yeah. Actually, I want to write tu, the charge separated tu. Is there any charge separated thing? Charge separated? Kalau charge separated ada, you can buang 66 tu, uncouple tu. But if suddenly, magically you found in the book about the uncouple tu, tu dia je lah, you're trying hard. So what? Right. Envelope? Nombor? Oh, envelope is the chloroplast tu. Dia memang envelope. Dia punya sarung dia. Memang ada 2. Memang nama dia envelope. Chloroplast envelope. Because some chloroplast ada 2 envelope. Some chloroplast ada 4 envelope. So we know that kalau dia ada 2 envelope, dia datang daripada first way of endosymbiosis. Kalau dia ada 4 envelope, satu unit chloroplast alga, dia datang daripada the second symbiosis, endosymbiosis theory. Okay, senang aja ni. Apa benda iron SA, iron SB? Very very easy. Okay, senang kan? I do not know when is the 20 pula apa 8 week untuk ni.
Minggu berapa? Sekarang minggu 4.
Bukan cuti minggu ke
Dia minggu sampai minggu 7. And then next
I think kuliah sampai minggu 8
apa?
untuk semester ni. I think.
Oh ya.
Dia tunjuk aku itu. Kalau salah dia.
Bukan ada 7 tu maksimum untuk first half semester.
No, aku rasa dia macam 8 semester ni.
7 ke? Sepatutnya 7 lah.
Oh, 7 aku yang gila lah. Okay.
Maksudnya cuti tu pada minggu ke-8.
So this week minggu ke berapa?
5.
Tak kira lah. Siap. Okay. Happy. Tulis lah. Daripada kau dah tulis type nak menang dengan orang sangat tu kan. You the keyboard warrior kan. Tulis. Lepas tu screenshot message dulu tu. Now channel the energy to here. Right. At least this is constructive. Okay. Happy? Yeah. Okay. So next, nanti pergi check your plants, maybe today or any other days. The pest control that we are going to do is very simple. I think we can use study to the one that you use study to. Apa nama dia? 365 benda tu. Dia tak bawa kan? Apalah. I think there is no pest lagi. How big is the plant now? Tak tengok baru ni. Ada clotilla dah? When is the next first baja? Okay. So there's no class next week. Okay. So take this opportunity to do your homework, to do these flashcard things. Okay. You can discuss with your friends. That's not a problem. If both of you wrong, both go to the hole. Come together. Right. You ada soalan frekuensi. Habis kau. Ada hint. Frekuensi tu I want to see equation. So maybe okay. Pest control. I think air tu cukup lagi. You just make sure the water is ni, because sometimes the rain is not coming properly into the netting structure, right? And rice is very water hungry organism. Just ensure that. And I think later we'll just put the pest control, so whoever come can spray benda tu. We are going to use organic control. Nanti we'll have a lesson about the organic control. Okay. Organic control, the thing is, number one, it is not very concentrated. So you have to apply more frequent at higher volume. So it's okay if one day you have applied and then your friends ada type come 2 days later you want to apply. It's fine. So we'll have the premix in the bottle we put at the farm. Whoever come, you can. Sometimes you just want to show off, right? See, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Live. Yeah. Share with the world. All right. Okay, I think that's all for now. Any question? How is your lesson, homework? Life is unpleasant. Oh, memang. Yeah, and thanks to me, it feels even more. Okay. Notes ni I will put in the folder later. Okay. I don't mind if you share the notes with your other friends. Okay. Lepas tu kan ada lecturer ambil nota aku, which is known to happen. You have this in PDF, right? Can you put it in the lesson folder nanti? Alright. Okay. So for the equipment, I think I'll see you after 2 weeks lah kot. Kejap. When are you going to see you again? Yeah, Umarani going to do the dancing and everything on the 12th, right? Then will come the week after. 20? Oh, lama kau cuti. Seronok kan? Kau jangan nak gembira sangat. Kerja kau ada banyak. Buat. Okay? So, we'll do that. And I'll see you then. Okay? Ada soalan tanya dia orang. Bila first treatment? Okay. So we have lots to do on the 20th because that is our first treatment as well. So you need to learn macam mana nak prepare the solution and so on. Right. Yeah, we can do that. Right. Just make sure equipment apa lab measurement tu kalau tak sempat mungkin boleh ni. We try to ni. The following week tu tak cuti lagi ke? Kau dah cuti? Oh. Kau cuti ke? Kau ada live sangat ke? Ke macam ni, maybe we can do it on Thursday. If tak sempat habis on the Monday of 20th, we do it the light measurement because you need to learn how to use the equipment. Okay? The equipment will produce data. You need to know these data are what? Right? Maybe bagi tahu Hilmi lah kot. Hari Khamis tu for him to join. Not the 20th is Monday, right? So Thursday should be 23? 23? Yep. Spectro, light bar. Tak apalah, I think better kita decide je buat hari Khamis. So on Monday, we gather all the equipments. Because we have more than 2 equipments now. We got the light bar, we got the elite data, pyranometer tu. Pyranometer. Okay. I need to do the lab manual short untuk equipment ni. Tak apalah, kau bagi brochure like kau je. Lepas tu bagi letak harga in case you want to buy. Kan? Okay, that's all. Kau jangan dengar aku merepek. Nanti perasaan kau terganggu. Right, see you.